The engines on the island of Sodor keep very busy. There are always lots of felonies to commit. One evening at Tidmouth Sheds, after Molly had been sent back to the works after her crash at Neville's bridge, the engines were talking about their legacies. Neville had recently been redesigned into his pun-track form, and he flaunted his appearance like a stripper. "Alright everyone," said James. "Why don't we have an actual conversation for once? What do you all think is your greatest legacy you've ever had in the show?" Neville, like a child who just learned his first naughty word, wanted to prove himself. "I had the one serious crash in the hit era," he asked hopefully. James and Henry snickered. "Neville," said James, "the only legacy you'll ever have is being a merchandising character with a severe lack of personality." The other engines started laughing hysterically, while Henry clapped back with,
"Well, Molly's personality sucks dick, Neville. Your personality sucks more than dick. It's like drinking out of the whole ball sack."
Neville's hate speech was drowned in the laughter of the other engines, and he went to sleep wondering how to prove James wrong. The next morning, after taking on coal, Neville pulled into Knapford Station ready to take over Molly's hitchhiking, but Sir Topham Hatt came to see him. "Neville," he said, "I heard your class of engines was one of the strongest engines in Britain." "Yes, sir," said Neville. "So today," continued Sir Topham Hatt, "Gordon has decided to let you try and pull the express." "Thank you, Gordon," said Neville happily, "and thank you, sir." Gordon smiled and puffed away to pull the local train for Henry. "Good luck, Neville," Stafford encouraged as he pushed the coaches into place behind Neville. "For now, I'm an unimportant background character." Soon, Neville was almost ready to take the express. Like other Q1s, Neville had bolts on his front that looked like nipples. He soon started backing up to his coaches. "Nearly there," said Harry obnoxiously. "Nearly there," said Bert childishly. Then it happened. "Watch where you're going, stripper wheels," Harry and Bert laughed. "Don't make fun of me, you murderers," Neville protested. "It's not our fault if you have nipples like a stripper," cackled Bert. "Turn into Godzilla." Meanwhile, Thomas was pushing some fuel trucks into the sidings. He heard Harry and Bert's comment. "No wonder Percy was suspicious of Neville," he said. "He's going to get us all scrapped in an overblown disaster movie." And he puffed away. Thomas arrived at Elsbridge Station, where Wilbert was waiting with a piece of iron for Thomas to take to repair Neville's bridge. "Did you see Neville pulling the express?" he asked Thomas. "Yes," replied Thomas, "and we should prepare for war. I saw him with Harry and Bert. He was told to turn into Godzilla." Wilbert was horrified. "What next? Is Bulstrode going to come back and turn into Titanic?" he asked. But Harvey, who was nearby, saw right through this f***ing bullshit. "I sleep in the same shed as Neville," he said, feeling annoyed. "Neville is too pure to turn to Godzilla." But it's most unfortunate for them that Percy was nearby, only heard the words Neville turned into Godzilla, and ran off with it. Despite Harry and Bert's childish mindfuckery, Neville soon managed to leave Knapford Station with the express after his earlier mishap. But Neville was unaware Harry and Bert had attached a red van behind his train with a questionable sign. As he rumbled over the viaduct, he called out, "The Phantom was right! I really am as capable..." Later, Percy had dropped off a fuel tanker at Wellsworth for the airport and was filling up on water. He was talking to Oliver. "Neville's going to turn into Godzilla and have us all scrapped," he said. "I heard Thomas and Harvey talking about it."
"I heard that,"
said Oliver.
James Henry and about 3 other tender engines wouldn't stop talking about it.
Excuse me, Mr. Oliver, chimed Toad from afar. We have a passenger train to take, and we shouldn't jump to conclusions this soon. Murdoch lives with Neville, and he knows the rumors are false. Oliver steamed over to the yards, hooked up to his coaches, and puffed away quickly. Later, after pulling up to the Sudbury Junction, Oliver had to stop at a red signal when Charlie came crashing in. I must have had too much energy from that McFlurry I had today, Charlie called obnoxiously.
Well, you're acting like a real McAsshole,
retorted Oliver. That language isn't appropriate, said Trevor, who was at the crossing. Think about the children. Just then, they heard a whistle. Neville steamed through, pulling the express. As Neville's driver called for Edward to help bank them up Gordon's Hill, Oliver's driver was drunk and called the police on Neville, saying he was going to turn into Godzilla. It wasn't long before Rocky arrived to help clear up the mess, and Oliver steamed away. An hour later, Thomas brought the bridge section to Abbey Station. Sir Topham Hatt spoke to him. Thomas, you must warn all engines that Neville's bridge is broken and not to be entered. Thomas agreed, but as Sir Topham Hatt drove away, I went and confided in a security guard from Sudbury, Melissa. The rumors about Neville turning into Godzilla are horseshit, I said. Melissa agreed. Then they heard a whistle. I'm not warning that bitch about the bridge, snapped Thomas. He shouldn't be on this line. I'll do it then, said the driver. Neville soon pulled into the station, looking all happy-go-lucky as he should be. No sooner had Neville stopped, me and Melissa went and warned Neville's driver about the bridge. But that didn't last long, as a swarm of police vehicles entered the station. Neville the clumsy engine, yelled the police. You are under arrest. You will not spark another overblown disaster movie. You want us? Yelled Neville's driver. Come and get us. And he started the train once again. Neville was speeding down the branch line as fast as he could. Suddenly, Neville saw a car on the intersection. He slammed on his brakes, but it was too late. Neville was in terrible trouble. He was being cornered by police and about to die in some way. Thomas arrived knowing it was his fault. Then he had an idea. His driver equipped his cannon and he puffed onto the bridge. He shot down the 2 police officers who were cornering Neville. Despite the 2 cops shooting below the bridge, Thomas pulled as hard as he could, and with one big puff, he pulled Neville off the bridge. Thomas had successfully saved dozens of passengers from their death. Thank you, said Neville. Be glad I have a cannon, replied Thomas smugly. But now I'm a wanted criminal running from the police, continued Neville. Any suggestions? Hide on the mainland until I convince the police to drop the charges. How hard can it be?